So there's a couple ways you can go about doing this. I'm going to show you the way that I would do this with a client of mine. And if you guys have other ways, please feel free to let me know how you guys got it working, but this is my best recommendation. So as you guys may be familiar, I'm going to be using my lease management application. And I've used this for a couple office hours videos, as you might see some familiar stuff here. We have Exact Forms Plus, we have Excel docs, we have a static file. So now I have 3 file attachment fields that are all separated. And if I want to send it to a client, or I want to have it just in general together, you may need a tool like PDF Merger. Now, one thing you could also notice is there's a couple different formatted document types here. We have XLSX and PDF. And if I wanted to, just to spice things up a little bit, I can change this. And now I'm changing Exact Forms Plus to be DocX, hit save. And that's just going to change my file supported format. So that's now 3 different types. And as I see you guys on the Mentees, the ones who are participating, there's one correct answer. PDF Merger can do a lot of supported file types. I'm going to let people keep answering that before I tell you how many. But we'll now have 3 on there. So what we're going to do today is work on getting all 3 of these files into one file attachment field. And I'm going to need a few fields to do it. So I opened up the PDF Merger demo, which is a great place to kind of see the fields that are needed, as well as the parameters. And this is open to everyone on the internet, so you guys can all view this as well. And I'm going to be using this page, as well as this page on the help site, which I'll throw in the chat, which is extremely helpful as well. This is kudos to James, I believe, set this up for us a couple months ago. There's a couple steps you're going to follow, and if you go through this help site and use the demo as well as this video, you should have no problem setting this up. So step 1, I actually already did step 1 because we work here, but you're going to send us an email with a few pieces of information. You're going to put in the subject line your company name and just request for PDF Merger. In the email body, you just need to include the following: your company name, the Quickbase URL, so xyz.quickbase.com, the user token that has access to this application, and if you need help with that, you can find that here, as well as the application DBID. And if you don't know, the app DBID can be found when you hit home, right at the top here, after DB/. So that's the app DBID. So those are the pieces of information we need to get started in the authorization of PDF Merger. Now, if you want, you could also throw the app name in, stuff like that will help us in debugging in the future if needed. But this is the requirements for us to get started. Once you do this and we respond back that the app is now authorized, you can go ahead to step 2. And this is where I'm going to start off. So for the lease management application, I had already got this authorized. So I know I'm ready to go. It's just about making the fields needed. So in the steps here, it says you're going to create a couple fields, and these are going to be the following fields. To set up the PDF Merger parameters, please add the following. So we'll need a file attachment field, a date time field, a text field, a formula text field, checkbox, and a formula URL. And I'm going to go through each one of those with you right now. So I'm going to hit settings, fields. And before I get started on making these fields, because I've been told this in the past, does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns of where we are so far? If I'm moving too fast, moving too slow. I don't know if I can go any faster. So hopefully it's not too slow. Okay. Seems like everyone's following along pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead back into lease management application, and I'm going to make a few of these fields right now. And just so that I have the names right, you can name them really whatever you want. It's types that matter the most, but we're going to make a couple. So I'm going to call it the merged document, which is where our final merge document is going to go. And I'm going to make that a file attachment field. I'm going to do a merge date, which is a date time field. I'm also going to do, and this is probably the most important field, the PDF merger parameters. And this is a formula text field. Now, this field is pretty important because this is what's actually going to be containing your individual PDF merger parameters, the formula that you're going to use to actually take each individual document and merge it into one. So you want to make sure that this one is focused on. And I'm also going to do merge errors. That's just going to be a text. And then I'm going to make two fields that are going to work together, and you may know them from your experience with Courier if you've used Courier before, but we're going to call it just run PDF merger. And this is a formula URL field. This field is technically optional if you have another way to kick off PDF merger, such as a date time field changing or a status field changing that can trigger merger to be executed. But we also have a trigger field that we're going to be doing this with. So this is really our trigger field. And then we're going to make another field, just call it CB. And we're going to call that CB for checkbox. And that should be it. I believe that's all we need for now. And remember, in this use case, and maybe not for all of them, so if I'm incorrect in this, then let me know. But we already have the file attachment fields that we want to merge together. So in this use case, everything's already there for me in terms of the raw documents. Now we're going to make it into a finished, refined one document that's going to be a PDF. So we're going to put those on the form. And we're going to add another section, and we're just going to call this PDF merger. Fields, and I'm going to add all of those fields that were just made. Let's say run PDF merger parameters.
And Matt, while you're doing that, we do have a question from Anthony.
Okay.
Does PDF merger only merge files on one record or across multiple records?
That's a good question, Anthony. So in this use case, and if you remember on the PowerPoint, I called it a simple merge. The simple merge I'm doing for one record, but we do have using a query, which you can do for multiple records. And I know we have them all here, but we have a lot of capability to do from other tables as well. So if you had records from a child table that you wanted to merge into one, you could absolutely do that using the query. Records from the same table, but different records, I believe you also can do. You just have to identify the record ID. And we're going to get into that in a little bit when we talk about the configuration here. I'm going to break this part down because this might seem like a lot, but we're going to go through each one of these in a second. You are going to want to identify the record that you want to pull from. So yes, you can pull from other records. All right, that should be good. See if I missed any. All right. So we've got our fields here, and like Anthony, the question that you asked, yes, I will be doing this for just this one record, but in a second you'll see how you can do it for multiple. For the PDF merger parameters, this is probably the most important one. So we're going to do this one first. This is formula text. And if you look here, PDF merger parameters, this is a pretty good sample of what it should look like. Just because I said should doesn't mean it must. But if you want to have something simple like this, you're going to want your outcome to look pretty close to that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a copy of something that I know is going to work, because I know I can just take this too. So why don't I do this so everyone's got an idea? If I copy that, we'll put it into here. So oh yeah, this one doesn't have record ID. Keep doing it to myself for this table. So I'll call it, see what property ID I think it is. Let me double check that. So for those of you who don't have, if you've changed record ID, so yeah, property or unit number is what this table is called from. We got this app from the exchange. It's usually not recommended, but if you have the need or you think it makes more sense for you to have your record ID number changed to a different name, you absolutely can. Most of our add-ons utilize record ID and can change to be whatever you have this key value as. But for a setup like this with no wizard, you will have to do this on your own. So property/unit number is really record ID. So for those of you who are watching this that might be confused, property, unit number, record ID, they're synonymous in this example. So I'm just gonna just change all these quickly. Don't mind me. I think this might be a good time while I key all these in, fat finger. Does anyone have any questions so far? I know Anthony had a question. All right, seems like everyone's pretty much following along, which is pretty good. All right, so this is the very beginning of my configuration. And what this is saying is, and I think we might have it in, well, okay, an explanation. We might not.
We have it in the demo application, Matthew.
Is it in the demo application?
Yes. Yeah, at the bottom, parameter breakdown. Yes.
Right. Yep. We're gonna need to put this somewhere a little bit bigger for you guys. So
Sure.
I'll zoom in. So this is the parameter breakdown. So as you saw, now this is huge. We have configuration equals DBID colon, and then I have record ID for me. So the record ID we want to be having it come from. I referenced in this example the record ID that I'm on. That's why it's a formula. So this is the current record ID, and then -8. And that -8 is actually the file attachment field. So what I'm going to end up, and probably should have a dash maybe to keep it synonymous, but we're going to have your DBID, which you can get from the very top if you remember me talking about it. DBID colon, the record ID you will want to have the file attachment pulled from, and then the file attachment field itself. So if I go back to this example, I had in this what I copied over 8, 23, and 32. So I'm going to replace those with the file attachments I need from this table. So in this example, it's the exact forms plus document, the Excel docs document, and the static file attachment. So 64, 69, and 71. So 64, 69. So I'll just double check that. 64, 69, 71. That looks good. Now this very last one, and this will be always the case, the very last number, so it's still this DBID, is I want my merged file to go back to my master table, which is the one we're on right now. And you know what, I'm actually making a mistake too. No eagle eyes out there to call me out on it, but we'll talk about that in a second. DBID, record ID, and then this is the final file attachment field that we're merging to. So that's merge document 72. I'll put 72 in there. So I'll give everyone a second. I wish I could make a mentee on the spot. What did I do wrong? Anyone? I don't have the right DBID in there.
I was gonna say, Anthony, that was Anthony's guess as well.
Anthony, where are you guessing? Because I'm not seeing that.
He's in the direct messages. I'm not sure if he's aware, actually.
Anthony, send them to everyone because you're right. Good job, Anthony, and pat on the back to you because that is absolutely right. So I need to make sure I change the DBID to be correct. So again, if you copy from our app, obviously the DBIDs are unique for every table, so it's not going to be correct if you copy it from us. You just need to fill in your own information there. And really you're making it of your own. Although this is like a template for you, you still need to fill in the correct information. So good job, Anthony. Everyone else, I hope you caught that. Just make sure you put in your own DBIDs so that you have the correct information. So that's good. So if I go back to now the demo again, and I see, okay, now we have up to here, we have pretty good everything to the left of this. Now we have some more information such as client, app ID, app token, etc. So I'm going to take these again. I have them on the side a little bit here. And I'm going to grab the next couple that I think are worth talking about. Let's go back to the formula and paste these in. So if you notice, I have an ampersand here because we're continuing on, and we have client ID equals, and this will be your client ID. Now, for our other add-ons with the wizard, you have the client ID already created in here. So you can either go and find one of those, which, I could do pretty quickly like this. If I went in and went to a generate EFP document, you'll see that we have client 2 here. You guys will not have client 2. Everyone's got their own unique client ID with us. So whatever your client ID number is, Q whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, just put it in there. Then you're going to identify the app ID. I always use ampersand app ID and then open and close parenthesis. That will just change with you. So if you copied your app, the app ID wouldn't have to be changed by hand. That's always recommended behavior. So if you can do that, that's best case there. App token is not necessarily required anymore unless you require it. So you would put your app token in there. And then the file name, FN, file name. So I just did merged file. And again, all of these can be found in the help site right here. These are the parameters you're going to want. So app ID, client ID, app token, the configuration, which we already did, merge file name or FN, and we will have the rest of these added now. All right. So now we're going to add just 2 more, and these are pretty simple as well. So we have merge DTE, so merge date, and error fid, which is just the error field. This is a date time field and this is a text field. So we're just going to go back and find those field IDs because we're really referencing field IDs. So we have errors and dates, so 73 and 75. So 73, 75. All right. So just to go from the top, again, make sure everyone's got it. The configuration starts it off, followed by a DBID, colon, the record you want to have it come from. Then you want to have the dash, the file attachment field you want it to go to. So again, DBID, record, file attachment field, DBID, record, file attachment field. And the final one will be to get into the merge document. So that's good. So we have that. We have the merge date, merge document, merge errors. Technically, we could be ready to go once we make a quick email notification. Now, the email notification is how we're going to actually know that you want to kick off this add-on. Without this, we would never know. So here's the steps for the email notification. Again, email notification is actually part of the setup, so we can get it from right here. We're now in step 3. So we're going to take this email. We're going to copy that. And we're going to make this open. Please make sure any of our emails that you send us, make sure it's open or it will not work. That's just a major thing to know. PDF merger. And we'll put that in. What I always like to do too is I put my own email address in, and that's just for testing purposes. So I know that it actually went out. Property unit is modified. And we can say any of the following conditions change. And I'm actually going to do something a little different. I'm going to use EFP date, and we're going to do EFP date is not equal to blank. So basically, if exact forms plus goes off, which in this imaginary process, it's the last one, make sure that goes off. So that's what I'm going to be using to trigger this out right now. And I'll show you in a second how to use the trigger button. So you'll actually have a button that will execute this instead. And I'll just call this PDF merger. And now that field that we just made, that PDF merger parameters field, we're just going to reference in the custom message. And again, all this is set here. So, James did a good job of laying out exactly what you need to do. So like it says here in the message, we're going to do PDF merger parameters and then type equals PDF merger. So I'm going to go choose fields, PDF merger parameters, space, type equals PDF merger. We'll double check, type equals PDF merger. That looks good. That looks good. And we'll hit save. So now that we have this email notification ready, hypothetically, we're ready to run a quick merge. And what that's going to do is that's going to merge EFP document, static file attachment, and Excel document all together. So without, yep.
So Matthew, just, I guess it's kind of obvious, but just want to mention that it's a background process, right? So unlike Excel docs or Exact Forms Plus, where you're clicking the button and it renders in view for you, running on our web server and sort of in a real-time mode, the merger, because of its nature being it can take many documents and sort of put them all together, it's a background process. It runs on the server. So you're going to message it with your notification, and it's going to run and then provide the data back to, or the file back.
Right. And I don't think that's actually obvious. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it clarifies exactly how it works. It's not magic. There's no wizard behind the screen. So that's definitely good to point out. So what I just did is I just ran Exact Forms Plus, which should change my EFP date field. And by changing that EFP date field, I should get my merged documents. So 1125. So hypothetically, these three should get merged together. And what you can do is you can take a look and make sure you have everything right. And I'm prone of making mistakes every once in a while. So let's check. So we have 64, 64, 71, 71, 69, 69, and that should be 72. So let's give this a refresh. And there it is. There's my merged document. So if I open this up, you'll see a PDF of all three of these sample documents together.
And then Matt, just to clarify, Jennifer wants to know, in order to use PDF merger, do you need Exact Forms Plus as well?
So no, you do not. That's a good question. You can merge any file attachment field together. You do not need Exact Forms Plus. We happen to, quite often have clients using Exact Forms Plus, which they want to merge together, but that is not a requirement. You can take any file attachment field of the file types that were supported and put them together. So very good question, Jennifer. Speaking of, I think that brings me to a quick pause point. And Menti, if you guys can see here, am I sharing this screen now? So we had a pretty good poll. This is the correct answer. So we have quite a few supported file types. Whoa. So we could do doc, docx, SLX. Actually, it might be easier if I just show the screen. Let's go to, so as you can see here, we have supported formats, and this is right from our help site. This is where we got the Menti question from. We got doc, docx, XLSX, JPEG, JPEG-E, GIF, BMP, TIFF, TIFF, PNG, TXT, MSG. So there's a lot of different formats we can do. This is the correct answer. Yes, we do merge it into a PDF, but we don't do it only PDF. And no one chose .com. That's good to hear. It seems like no one really wanted to go to the next question, but that could be on me. I might not have opened that one up. But let's go ahead and let's go back to sharing the screen. All right. Was everyone able to see that, or was I showing nothing?
No, we saw it. We saw it.
Okay, good. So yep, so like I was showing you guys, we had our merged file. So we successfully merged a file together in a simple merge. And we did use in that simple merge just the Exact Forms Plus date to kick it off. And that and Jennifer, that might have been what confused you, or what made you think you had to use Exact Forms Plus. You actually don't. So let's kick this off using something else. So we're going to now use this CB for checkbox, and we're going to change this around a little bit. We're going to make this checkbox field. I'm going to say the checkbox is equal to checked. So this is just the notification when. These are like my filter parameters. This is what allows that background process to kick off. So we're going to do when a checkbox is checked, and we're going to keep everything else the same. And we're now going to add a button. And this is a formula URL field called run PDF merger. And if I edit this, there's obviously nothing here yet. But what I show to many of my clients, especially for QB Courier, those who want to trigger out this to kick off, is you can actually run a formula to trigger this off. So I'm going to copy it from somewhere elsewhere, but I'm also going to put it in the chat quickly. And I'm going to throw this right in here. So this is just something that's going to say, edit the record, check the checkbox, and then close the record. It's pretty simple. Oh, we're not doing ad lease. It's pretty simple. I didn't make this myself. I got this from some of the fine folks here, and it's going to make your life a lot easier if you want to check a checkbox to kick it off. And this thing is always doing the syntax errors. Okay, so basically what this is saying is we made a checkbox variable, which says if checkbox is equal to true, make 0 to 1. And we're just going to edit the record. And the only thing you need to really change here, if you named your checkbox field CB, is this FID number, so that checkbox number. So let me just go back to that, and you can see CB is 77. So we're going to go with 77 there. Then you could save. Then you might see, oh, this is a pretty terrible URL. You could edit this again, and you could do run PDF merger. We're going to display this as a button, and we'll go with this pink, and we'll do it in same window. So now we have run PDF merger as a button here. So hypothetically, if I were to click this, you see my screen refreshes, and that checkbox is checked. So now, in about a second or two, we should also see an updated merged file. So I'll just refresh this one more time. And I do see, and you can see here, we have 2 merged files. They're the exact same name. So that kind of can be confusing, but this was the new version of that file, which was generated. So you can see it's got the /1 in between, and you've got all of your documents here as well. If I were to hypothetically want to generate this from another record, I'm on property unit number 5 right now. If I were to go into this one, let's go to property unit number 6, you'll see that I have no Excel docs document, no exact forms plus document, no static file attachment. So if I just make 1 or 2, just 1, we'll do this one as well. Now this is just our add-ons, exact forms plus and Excel docs. These are just running. These are old office hours that we did. If you're interested in these, definitely go back and watch those. But I can now run PDF merger from this record as well, and I'll get just these 2 files merged together. Okay, so we're about halfway through. Does anyone have any questions on simple merge? That's what we've done so far. A level of role security acceptable for view modify rights for the PDF merger parameters. Good question. So what's acceptable is basically anything. But if you're saying you don't want to have people edit it, is that what you're asking, Anthony? View or modify rights for it to run. Manal, are you there?
Yes. There is nothing, anybody who can modify that checkbox, right? As long as we can execute the merger, it should be okay.
Right. So Anthony, I think that'd be your specific Quickbase roles and permissions. If you have it so that only admins can edit that field, then that would be the case. But right now, this is actually just a regular field that anyone can edit if they have the ability to edit the field properties of the field. If not, if you hit edit up here, since it's a formula, you would not be able to edit anything. It's just there. And this can also be hidden. It does not need to be on your form. But for those of you who have admin privileges that can edit the field properties, then yes, anyone can edit this at any time. I hope that answers your question. I think it does. In terms of on our end, it's also based off the user token. So if you're thinking of it that way, as long as you have provided us a user token that has enough permissions to update records, then you should be fine as well. But if I didn't answer your question, please feel free to, let me know. As far as this record, though, you can see that this merge file was created, and this one's only going to have the 2 merge files. It doesn't have that additional static one. So that shows you don't have to have every file attachment field filled out that you want to have set up in the merger. So just to kind of hit it home, did I lose my? Yes, I did lose it. Just to hit it home, this is a simple setup. This is a do-it-yourself setup. I follow these instructions that you can find on our help site. Again, you do have to follow these basically step by step. There's 3 steps. And if you have more of an advanced merger, this was the simple merge, which I just did. There is merge using a query, which you can do from another table. You can merge to Amazon S3. You could also merge to Dropbox. And we're also working on additional file storage options. So that's coming soon. I'm not going to go through these all today. But for those of you who have those cloud-based services that you would like to store to, those are options for merger, because these files can get quite large and exceed the bounds of Quickbase. So we do understand. And we do understand that Quickbase's file storage limits, do vary. So if you have, trouble with that and that's something holding you back, we have cloud options. All right. So I think that's all we got for you today, unless anyone from my team wants to jump in. But I think that's it. And I hope you guys found value in this video. And I'm going to give you guys about 24 minutes of your day back. And hopefully you guys join us for next week's office hours, and we'll have another mentee and another topic for you guys.